Good day, I'm Yuval J. Rodaman M. Kumrubia from Mexe 3202. In this video, I'll teach you a step-by-step process on how to create a simple yet illustrative CAD model. I will also teach you some techniques that you may use for future purposes that will level up your modeling experience. In the end of this video, you will gain knowledge on how to execute techniques that would make your modeling easier and more efficient. In creating a 3D model, I'll be using the software SOLIDWORKS 2022. Now, let's get started. Before starting the CAD modeling, we need to look at the 2D drawing first. In this way, we can strategize on how we will start our modeling process. We do this to avoid confusion on what we will do first. As we can see in the 2D drawing, there are three views: the top view, the right view, and the front view. In modeling, you need to decide on what plane you should start creating. For me, it is best to start on the top plane. And in this video, I'll be creating a 3D model of a C-clamp. What is a C-clamp? C-clamp is a type of clamp device typically used to hold a wood or metal workpiece and often used in carpentry and welding. It is named for its C-shaped frame, which can be adjusted using a threaded screw mechanism. There are four parts of a C-clamp. The first part is the frame, this red one. The main body of the clamp, which is C-shaped and provides the structure. The next one is the screw, a threaded rod that runs through one end of the C-frame and allows for adjustment. The third one is the swivel head or pad, the end of the screw. Attached to the end of the screw, this pad moves to grip the workpiece securely as the screw is tightened. And last one is the handle, often a T-bar or a sliding handle used to turn the screw and adjust the clamping pressure. Now, let's get started. Now, we're going to start modeling the frame of the C-clamp. To do that, we will click Part, and then we will click Sketch. And for me, I'll be going to use the front plane. After clicking that, we can now start by doing a inverted C, just like that. And then will be going to put dimensions 50 millimeters. By the way, before starting your model, you need to take a look first on what unit system you are using. For me, I'll be using the millimeters. Now let's continue. And for this part, it will be 100 millimeters. And then we're going to make sure that the long line is centralized. To do that, we'll be clicking the origin, hold shift, and then click this line. And again, click, hold shift, then click the line. And then we will click midpoint. After that, uh, we need to make sure that it is vertical to each other. To do that, we will again click it, then hold shift, then click the other one, then click vertical. Now that it is done, we can now make our frame bigger. To do that, I will click check exit sketch, and then I will make a new frame. The first reference will be the dot, and the second reference will be the long line. And that will give us a new plane at the end of the inverted C. And on that plane, we will click sketch, and then we will do a we will create a centralized rectangle, and the centralized rectangle's dimension should be 50 millimeters. To verify if you are using the right dimension, you can take a look at your 2D drawing. Uh, just like that. Now I can see that 50 is wrong and the correct dimension is 19. So we're going to put 19 on this side and 19 on this side. And then we will click check. After doing that, we can now use the feature swept boss space. For the first one, we will click the sketch 2, and for the axis of or path of the boss base, we will click this long line or the sketch 1. Now that we are done on making the inverted C bigger, we can now turn off the plane 1. Now we'll be using chamfer and fillet to make our frame more realistic. I will click chamfer, and then I will chamfer this edge, and then this edge and this edge by 14 millimeters. After doing that, we will fillet most of the side, this line and this line by 6 millimeters. As you can see, we created a plane here, and then we will click sketch. After clicking sketch, we will just click convert entities, and then exit sketch. After clicking exit sketch, we will extrude it by 5 millimeters. Now we can proceed to uh, using jumper on most of the edges. This may take a while, so you can just fast forward the video. And then after clicking most of the edges, we can now click check. By the way, we will change the millimeters to 1.6. After doing that, we will use fillet on this side and this side, and change it by 3 millimeters. After doing all of that, we will change the appearance of our frame to make it look more presentable. But before that, for the last part, we will make a hole on the top of this C clamp. To do that, we will click sketch. We will now click center line, and we will click it to the origin up to the end of it, other end. After doing that, we can now make a circle which diameter is 10. After doing that, we will set a distance from the center point of the circle to the end of this line. To do that, we will click this line and the center point of the circle and set it by 9.5. Uh, After doing that, we can now use the feature extruded cut. In my case, I will be using 50 to make sure that it will pass through the end of it. And after doing that, after making a hole, we can now use the feature thread. Here, we will be clicking the edge of this line, edge of the circle. We will set it by 50 to make sure that it will thread the whole hole, and then we will click the specification type metric top, and the size will be 10.10 times 1.5, and then we will offset it by 2 millimeters, and then we will click check. And after doing that, we can now proceed by changing the color or the appearance of our frame. For me, I will be using the color red. And that's it. Uh, we can now proceed to the next part, which is the screw. To start our drawing, we will click sketch and then top plane, and then we will create a circle with a circumference of 12.7. After clicking 12.7, we can now extrude this by 14.8, and we will change the direction. After doing that, we will make a new sketch on the front plane, and there we will create a circle in the middle, which have a circumference of 4.9. And to make it fully defined, uh, we will click the center point of the circle, hold shift, and click the origin and make it vertical. After that, we will make a distance between the center point of the circle and the origin by 8. And after doing that, we can now proceed by using extruded cut. We need to make a hole that will pass through the circle. By the way, uh, to make sure that your circle will pass through both sides, you need to change blind to mid plane, just like that. And now we can extrude cut it. After doing that, we will flay the top to make it more presentable by zero point 0.5 millimeters. After doing that, we will create a new sketch under the circle. Based on this drawing, uh, we will create a new circle with a circumference of 10 millimeters. And that circle with 10 millimeters have a extrusion of 80 millimeters. We'll change it back to blind and then extrude it by 80 millimeters. After that, again, we will click sketch and make a new sketch under the circle we just created. And there we will create a new circle with a diameter of 6.28. After that, uh, we can now extrude this by 7.2 millimeters. And lastly, we will make a new sketch under the circle we just created with a circumference of 5 millimeters. And then we will extrude it by 1.95. And here, we will be using draft and draft it by 50 degrees. Now, we can proceed on using the feature thread. Uh, First, we will click this edge and then we will check offset, change it to 2 millimeters and reverse the direction. After doing that, we will change the depth by 80 and then we'll change it to metric die and that's it. After doing that, we can now change the appearance of our screw. And I will set it to yellow. And then I will set it to yellow. After that, we can now proceed on creating the next part, which is the head. Now we're going to create the swivel. Now now we're going to create the swivel or the head of the C-clamp. To do that, we will click sketch and then front plane, and then we will click create this shape. And then we will change the dimensions. This will be 3.2, this will be 9.5, and this will be 9.52, and the last one will be 4.7, and that gives us this shape. After that, we'll be using the feature revolve boss base, and the axis of revolution will be this line, and that will give us a head with this shape. Uh, After that, we will click sketch and then use this as our new plane, and then create a circle in the middle with a circumference of 6.35. 6.35. After doing that, we can now proceed extruded cut, and we will set the depth to 30 to make sure that it will pass through the other side of our head or swivel. After doing that, we will click sketch again and use this as our new plane. After doing that, we will create a new circle with a circumference of 9.5, and extrude cut it by 3.2. After that, we will use chamfer edge uh, to this edge and set the millimeters by zero point 0.5. And then lastly, we will fillet this part or this edge by 1.5. And lastly, we will give it a new appearance or color. And now we can proceed to the last part, which is the handle. Uh, to start our handle, we will click sketch and choose front plane. In the front plane, we will create a new circle with a circumference of 4.8. And then we will now extrude it. Before that, we will change blind to mid plane and change the depth to 52. After that, we can now use the feature dome. Just click insert, feature, and then dome. And click this side, check, and repeat repeat it and do it to the other side. Just like this. And that's it for the handle. We just need to change its appearance to make it more presentable. And that's all for creating the four parts. For the next part, we will assemble it. Now, in this last video, we will start to assemble the parts we created earlier. To do that, first we will insert the components we created earlier. In this last video, we will assemble all the parts we created earlier. To do that, we will create insert and then drag it here. The second one, the third one, and the fourth one. After that, we will rotate this our swivel or head. And then we will make our screw and our swivel or head. To do that, uh, we will click this edge and this edge and click make. After that, our swivel or head will automatically attach to our screw. We will just click check, and then we will drag our swivel or head down, then meet this part and this part. After that, we can now proceed to attaching our screw to our frame. To do that first, uh, we need to view the access and the temporary access. And then we will click mate, and we will mate this part to this part and click check. After doing that, we can now proceed to mate the mechanical parts. To do that, we will click mechanical and then screw. After that, we will click the axis of this screw and the axis of our frame and click check. As you can see, uh, it functions now. For our last part, we will attach this handle to our screw. And then we need to hide our temporary access and access. Now we need to attach this handle to our screw. To do that, we will click the handle and then click mate. After that, we will click the hole inside the screw and press concentric. To fix this, we will click check and then click mate. After clicking mate, we will uh, change the mate type, which is lock, and we will choose the handle and this part. And now our model is done. And that's all. And I hope you learn a lot from me. That's all. Thank you.